Good morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Olson. I want to begin by addressing Malcolm Dorman's comment that if he didn't introduce me, there might be consequences. Malcolm, I'd be a fool to give bad advice to a person so important and as influential as you. Now, each speaker was obviously chosen for his special attributes, and so was I. I was chosen because I'm from Rhode Island, and Rhode Islanders do not pronounce R's, so therefore Dr. Lawson now becomes Dr. Lawson. And I'm going to give my talk 20% faster than anybody else because I know we're behind in time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about obesity. Now, I talk fast, and fast is good, but fast isn't good when it comes to eating or fast food. Is it this button right here? Okay, great. So 30 years ago, when our parents looked out the window to check on the health of their little runs, they saw skinny kids like this. But now when people look through windows, they see kids like this. We are having an obesity crisis and nobody can deny it. While some individuals would like to blame this on genes, the facts are that our genes have not mutated significantly in the last 30 years. There is a definite influence between our environment and our genes, and it has to do with the field of epigenetics. Our environment can cause our genes to express themselves differently. So when you look over here at all the abundant choices we have, and then you also look at these two, by the way, identical twins, you can see that it's not a genetic situation only. So I'm going to talk a little bit about junk food. And junk food is food that tastes good. It's very high in calories, but has very little nutritional value, such as fries, ice cream. And the one food experiment is a very fascinating experiment, the $1 experiment. $1 was taken by an investigative reporter into a local supermarket, and he was able to buy with his $1 1,200 calories of cookies or potato chips, whereas he could only get 250 calories of carrots, 875 calories of soda, and only 170 calories of orange juice. So junk food is cheap. It's also harder to get. You have to walk through aisles and aisles and aisles of bad food just to get to the back where you can go and see and obtain your milk and dairy. So junk food is cheap. It's cheap because of farm subsidies. You see, junk food should be expensive. Take a Twinkie. A Twinkie has 39 different ingredients. A lot of money is spent on marketing Twinkies. But Twinkies are cheap. And it turns out that the policies of the United States government follow the subsidizing of commodities such as corn and wheat, etc. So, sugar. So, between the dates 1985, I don't want to be non-patriotic, but that flag is well positioned. Between 1985 and 2000, the cost of veggies has increased, where the cost of junk food has gone down. No one can argue with this. So, advertising and junk food is big business. Our kids, adults, were bombarded by one food commercial every 5 minutes. And these are targeting mostly children. And kids under 8 believe everything they see on TV. They believe that, Captain Crunch, he's a hero. We live in an obesogenic environment. We have too many options that are poor for us, not many options that are good for us. Candy bars are getting bigger, and we're ingesting 600 more calories today than we ingested in 2007. The prevalence of obesity is skyrocketing. It is skyrocketing in men and women. It's gone up 2.5 times since the 70s, and it has tripled in children of all ages. And when we're talking about obesity today, we're not talking about a little extra fat, that pear shape on the hips. We're talking about central obesity, abdominal obesity, otherwise known as visceral obesity, the type that accumulates right around the abdomen. And this type of obesity is associated with a myriad of medical conditions. And I'm not going to go over all of them in the interest of time, but heart disease, diabetes, stroke, gynecological issues, respiratory issues. Obesity is driving a lot of bad health in the United States and the world today, especially lower economic countries. And as the obesity trend pushes higher, it's influencing the diabetes trend. Diabetes is becoming much more prevalent. When I came down to Florida in 1985, there was said to be 8.5 million diabetics in the United States. Now we're talking about 26 million. And diabetes is the leading cause of blindness, kidney disease, heart disease, amputation. It's costing our society $170 billion a year. And it's not easy being a diabetic. You have to stick your fingers, you have to see nutritionists, you have to watch everything you eat after you have diabetes. It's just not a lifestyle that people want. So, with obesity being bad, causing issues like diabetes, why do we continue as a society to overeat? The answer's in our evolution. You see, as Homo sapiens, we crave fat, we crave salt, we crave sugar. And we have to understand the neurological process of craving. When caveman saw the elephant, his brain on the functional MRI lit up right in the midbrain, and there was dopamine being injected into his midbrain. And dopamine causes motivation. It motivates you to get what you see. And it causes you to persevere. And it causes you to focus until you accomplish that final product of getting that elephant and eating it, and then you get reward. So dopamine is released in the midbrain. Now, how can we stop craving? We have plenty of mechanisms that were built into our system. Ghrelin is released from the stomach when the stomach is empty to cause hunger. PPY, when we ingest enough energy, our fat cells release, leptin. When we ingest enough energy, our fat cells release leptin. It sends a signal to our brain, shutting off appetite. PPY is an intestinal hormone, also called the intestinal brake. When food reaches the distal part of our intestines, it causes satiety. GLP-1, when we eat glucagon-like protein 1, when we eat carbohydrates, there's a strong signal released from our upper intestine. It goes to our stomach, it tells it to stop churning. It goes to our brain, it tells us to stop eating. But these signals are not absolute, and we don't hear them anymore.